I am Marjan. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to right off the bat apologize for a bit of a makeshift setup over here. If you read my bio, I am just in the moving process. I just moved from Ontario to Quebec. I am living in Montreal now, and it's my first move in 15 years. So it's been a bit of a rocky road, but I am so excited to be here and have all of you here so that I can explain one of my favorite things that I do every single morning that is so simple. But before we start that, I will let you know a little bit about myself and what I do. I am a holistic nutritionist. I now live in Montreal, Quebec. A shout out to anyone who also lives there as well too. But as we go along with this series, I'm going to be providing some tips, simple, really simple tips to kind of help you to start feeling better. I think that is something that we often don't focus enough energy on. A lot of times we hear people say, it's January, so it's time to kind of hit the ground running and we have to do a whole overhaul of our entire life. But I don't believe that. First off, if you are in a part of the world like me right now, where we look outside the window and it is snow and things are hibernating and taking things really slow right now. So that means that we don't have to force ourselves to take things at lightning speed right now. We can kind of take things slow a little bit as well too. And so over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be just giving you some tips of simple things that you can add into your day, not so much focusing on removing things, but adding things in that are going to help us to feel energized and feel good all throughout our day. I also specialize in blood sugar balance. So a lot of times when I say the words blood sugar, people often think, okay, yeah, diabetes, or yeah, I know somebody who has diabetes, or I know somebody who's elderly and has diabetes. But what we often don't look at when it comes to blood sugar balance is the day-to-day things that we all struggle with. We all have a blood sugar managing system going on inside of our bodies literally right now. So what that means is that when blood sugar goes up and it comes down, it makes us feel certain ways. So for example, sometimes on that downward spiral, people are feeling anxious feelings or feelings of frustration. That's something that I often feel when I'm on the downward spiral of a blood sugar crash. Or we feel moody, or our energy levels drop and we feel like taking a nap. So a lot of times what I tell clients is that if you're feeling those types of things constantly, if you're constantly feeling low energy and dragging yourself through the day, then it's something that we might want to take a look at is our blood sugar. So today I am going to show you my favorite drink. I have it set up over here, and it's kind of like a little bit of an elixir that I have every single morning. But before we start, I am going to tell you 3 main benefits of why I start my day with this drink. And if you follow along on my Instagram, you probably see it 6 out of 7 days of the week. Sometimes I don't do it, but mostly I'm starting my day with a warm water, a little bit of lemon juice, and a pinch of pink Himalayan salt. That might sound a little bit weird now, but we'll get into why that's important later on. But basically, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I start my day with this particular drink and how it's kind of related to the big picture of our energy levels and feeling good and our blood sugar levels being balanced as well too. So let's get started. Number 1. So number 1 is that digestion is a really, really big part of our health that we often don't talk enough about. And someone once told me this, and it really stuck with me, is that if our foods are not being digested properly and not actually getting absorbed into our system, then we end up with things like low energy and just feeling blah throughout the day. And that's an indication that our foods are not actually being digested and going into our cells and giving us lots of energy, which is what we want, right? So then that brings us to, why would we be eating if it's not actually being digested into our system? We can be on any type of healthy diet and we can eat salads all day and have tons of fruits and veggies. But if it's not actually going into our cells, then what's the point of eating, right? So what I like to do for my digestion specifically is, in my morning water, I'm adding about half of the juice of a lemon. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right now as we are talking. And the reason why I use lemon juice is because if you picture yourself, don't actually do this, but if you picture yourself biting into a lemon, I'll just give you a moment there to just visualize what happens in your system. Picture yourself biting a lemon. What happens is a bunch of saliva starts to kind of fill our mouth, and that trickles down and gets stomach acid going, which is actually what we want. We want lots of stomach acid so that it breaks down our food really, really well. And so when that process happens, it gets the entire domino effect going for the rest of our digestion, which is, again, one of the most important things for our health. If we're not digesting our food, then we're not really getting any benefits from our food. Does that make sense? So basically, I have my lemon cut in half. What I always say is that you want to add as much lemon juice as you like that makes it sour enough for you. So everybody has different tolerances when it comes to sourness levels. And for me, I love sour. So I could basically put this entire lemon into my water, but I'm not going to do that. I usually use about a half. You can do a little bit less, and it can be kind of like a building up kind of process as well too. So you can start with a little bit of lemon juice, and as you go along and as you start introducing this into your morning routine, then you can start adding even more. So I'm gonna squeeze this into my water, and I'm gonna get into why I also have a straw in my water. So my water was already pre-boiled. What you want to do is boil your water and let it cool a little bit, and then add your lemon juice to it. But you can also use just regular room temperature water. One of the reasons why we don't want to use ice cold water is because our digestive system actually works like a little mini bonfire. So if you picture a little fire inside of your gut, we don't want to be dumping ice cold water on it. We want to kind of like soothe things and get things nice and cozy before we introduce lots of food. So in that sense, we want to make sure that our water is at least room temperature, but if you have a kettle at home, you want to boil the water and then let it cool before you drink it. So I have my lemon juice in here and my straw. So the next tip for why I like this drink in the mornings is kind of goes along with the first one. And it's that because it helps us to digest our foods better, we start to heal things like bloating, gas, acid reflux, constipation. And one of the reasons for that is that because the lemon juice produces some saliva, gets that saliva going, gets our stomach acid going, it helps to break down that food better. Why is that important? Because when the food doesn't get broken down, it starts to kind of ferment. So if you can picture something, as gross as this sounds, if you can picture something fermenting, it's not great, and it produces a lot of gases and some bubbles and some gross things happening in there, and that's part of the fermentation process. And so that's what's happening inside of our bodies when our food isn't being broken down properly. So what I end up seeing in my practice with my clients is lots and lots of bloating, lots of acid reflux, lots of constipation or feelings of not being able to release properly. And how this really, really simple drink helps with that is it starts that domino effect. It gets that stomach acid going, which is what we want to break down our foods. It breaks everything down, and then it trickles down the system all the way down to our bowels, where hopefully things will get released a little bit easier if constipation is something that you struggle with as well. Did you guys think that I was gonna be talking about butterflies and roses today? I'm talking about constipation and bowel movement. So welcome to the segment. If you're just joining us now, it's gonna be all about digestion and fun stuff happening in here. So the third reason why we want to introduce something like a lemon juice into our system in the morning. And I'll actually sidetrack a little bit for a second and ask you guys if you've ever tried the apple cider vinegar shot in the morning, or if you ever have known anyone who does an apple cider vinegar shot in the morning. Obviously, I can't see your responses, but I will assume that a fair chunk of you have either tried that or you know somebody who has. And that actually produces the same effect on the inside in our gut as the lemon juice and water. But the reason why I choose lemon juice is because I like the taste of it a little bit better. So if that's you as well too, lemon juice and apple cider vinegar pretty much are on par with each other for the benefits that I'm going to mention today and the two benefits that I already mentioned. So with lemon juice, we're going to go back to high school science class for a second. Nobody get overwhelmed here. It's not going to get too crazy. I see some lovers of apple cider vinegar. Right on. That's great. So high school science, picture it. Remember when we talked about the difference between an acid and an alkaline, right? Hopefully I'm not losing too many people by bringing up high school science class. But basically, a lot of us, we learned that a lemon is actually acidic, along with vinegar is acidic as well too. Oranges are acidic. A lot of fruits are typically acidic in nature. Something that is alkaline in nature is on the other end of the scale. And that would be things like, non-food wise, would be like bleach or like baking soda. Those things are on the other side of the scale. So lemon is acidic in nature. But something cool that happens is once we actually cut it open and consume it and take it in, what happens is on the inside, it forms an alkaline environment. Why is that important? Because we actually want our insides to be super alkaline. Not 100% alkaline. We don't want to be all the way on the bleach side of the scale, but we do want our insides to be pretty alkaline. The reason for that is, again, if we go back to high school science class, when you have, for example, a little petri dish, and I don't know if you guys ever did this in your high school classes or not, but there was a little petri dish and there was some sort of solution. It was usually something sugary and so something sugary would be in that solution. And then we would add like a fungus or a bacteria or a virus into that environment. And what happens is it would flourish in that environment, right? And so the same thing happens on our insides. When we are slightly more acidic in nature, which is we are consuming a lot more sugar and caffeine and carbohydrate dense foods, they kind of produce that more of an acidic environment on the inside. And what happens is all of these bacteria and viruses, they tend to flourish a lot more than we want them to. So in the day and age that we are right now, a lot of us are talking about immune boosting things. This is something super, super, super simple that you can do because it's literally 3 ingredients that you can start doing that starts to form that alkaline environment on the inside. And something else that I will sidetrack with as well is that if you are ever interested in testing out your gut alkalinity, again, we want to be a little bit more on the alkaline side. You can pick up test strips usually from health food stores. They might have them other places, or you might be able to check online as well too. But this is something super helpful in case you're the type of person that likes to have a bit of a visual when it comes to what's going on the inside. So this is something that I recommend. If you live in the Southern Ontario area, goodness me, is where I picked up those test strips. So again, we want our insides to be a little bit more on the alkaline side. We're never going to be 100% alkaline, but when we are a little bit more alkaline, what happens is we actually start to crave more green things. We start to crave more whole foods. Why is that important? Because I'm a blood sugar specialist, and it's important because this actually, in a roundabout way, helps to lower our blood sugar levels because we're just naturally not going to be craving as many sweets and carbohydrates. So the other thing that I like to do is add a little bit of salt to this little mixture. I know I'm probably losing some of you, and that's okay. If the hot water and lemon was enough for you, you are already getting tons of benefits just from those 2 ingredients. So you can just do that every morning. But if you want to up level a little bit and join me in adding pink Himalayan salt. So the reason why I use a pink Himalayan salt versus a table salt, for example, is because pink Himalayan salt, as well as sea salt, actually has a super well-rounded amount of minerals. So with our table salt, traditional table salt, it's usually just a combination of sodium and chloride. So if you've ever gone to the doctor and had your sodium levels checked and they say that you have high sodium, it's usually because we eat a lot of processed foods in our culture, and those processed foods contain mostly table salt. And table salt is mostly just sodium. Whereas something like this, like a pink salt that actually comes from the earth, actually has a super well-rounded amount of minerals. So we're getting lots of things, not just sodium, but we're getting magnesium and calcium and chloride, and everything is all kind of mixed in together. So not a bad idea to sprinkle a little bit of salt. And you don't need a lot because a little bit goes a long way. And I am such a big fan of the combination of sour and salty. I know that might be weird to some of you, but again, it's an easy way to start getting in those minerals. So I'll do a little taste test here. It's not quite sour enough for how I like it. I'm actually gonna add a little bit more lemon juice so you can test it out for yourself. Again, the way to know if it's enough lemon juice for you is literally just from tasting it. You want it to actually taste a little bit sour for you because that's what's gonna start that domino effect, right? So when it tastes sour enough for you, then it's gonna get saliva going, it's gonna get stomach acid going, it's gonna help break down our foods better, get into our cells and give us lots of energy, but it's also going to create more of an alkaline gut on the inside. And that's gonna slowly turn into less sugar cravings, less caffeine cravings, less carbohydrate and sweet pastry cravings. I live in Montreal now, so I'm thinking about all of the pastries. All of a sudden, it's all rushing in. But it's going to naturally help to lower those cravings for those foods. The last tip is the reason why I have this metal straw. You can get metal straws from anywhere these days. I see them all over the place. You can order them online. I've also seen them with a little silicone tip on it. I know a lot of people kind of don't like the feel of metal in their mouth, and I totally get you. I don't really love it either. But you can get a metal straw from pretty much anywhere these days. And basically the reason why I use the metal straw is because it helps to protect my teeth from the acid. So as we just talked about, a lemon on the outside is acidic. Our enamel on our teeth doesn't really do well with high acidic things being on it all the time. So what we want to do is actually get the benefits of the lemon from going inside of us, but we also want to kind of protect our teeth a little bit by investing in a good metal straw or silicone straw or like any straw that you have around, and so that it doesn't actually touch your teeth while you are having it. So that is that. And just to review again, the top 3 benefits. There are actually so many benefits to this super, super simple concoction, but my top 3 benefits and the reasons why I like to do it is it helps to digest our foods better. We want to digest food so that it goes into our cells and gives us energy. Number 2, it helps to reduce those yucky symptoms that we all experience. I get it. I get them too. The bloating, the gas, the acid reflux, the constipation, things aren't moving properly. This type of concoction helps to get that domino effect going so that we're releasing things. Our bowels are nice and healthy and moving properly. And the number 3 reason why I use this drink in the mornings is, well, first off, because cold and flu season is upon us, and it's a great way to kind of get your immune system set up for success because you're creating that alkaline environment on the inside, which helps good bacteria to kind of thrive instead of the bad bacteria to thrive. And you want to use a straw because it helps to protect your teeth a little bit. I actually just went for a dental checkup recently and I got a thumbs up from my dentist because my teeth weren't experiencing any damage from this drink. At first, when I told her about my warm water and lemon every morning, she kind of freaked out a little bit and thought, oh my gosh, you're gonna ruin your teeth. And once she did the checkup, she said, no, you're good. I think the straw is working for you. So I will pass along that tip as well. If you have any questions, please write them in the comment section, or you can follow along with my Instagram. That's where I'm usually the most active, is Healthy by Marjan. And you can follow along with my blog as well too, where I have more of this type of tips, these types of really, really simple tips. My blood sugar management guide ebook is on my blog as well too, so you can grab a copy of that if you ever want to. And I also work with clients from all over the world, just like this, over video call. So if you have specific health goals that you are working towards and that blood sugar can kind of help with, then I'm here for it. Then you can reach out to me anytime. My social handles will all be on at the end. And it was great to be here with you guys. And I can't wait to be here again next week. Thank you so much.